Welcome to Design Demo 1. Begin by assessing the design plan and amount of undercut needed for your case. As we evaluate this case, observe the angulation in these posterior teeth, this bicuspid, and this anterior tooth. These angulations will present difficulty for the path of insertion. Our main challenge will be to get over these high points while maintaining an aesthetic and functional design. Additionally, notice that the impression shows an existing palatal seal. This indicates that the patient has worn a metal frame partial for some time. In this case, it is best to follow the same design for two reasons. One, the patient is already accustomed to this design and amount of coverage. And two, there is a hard bone area here, so avoiding this section will minimize potential discomfort to the patient. As for the lingual design, we have two options. One is to plate it using surrounding tissue. The second option is to use a finger clasp design. This option will use less material and will be more comfortable for the patient, especially under mastication. We will utilize the same finger clasp design on the buccal side of the molar. Since it is not an area of aesthetic concern, bringing a finger clasp to the height of contour is advised. A standard rule when designing the lingual portion of the abutment teeth is to go above the height of contour on the posterior teeth and to the cingulums on the anterior teeth. Another standard rule of design is to avoid going into the buccal fold areas. Instead, stay at the height of contour. If there's any bone that is protruding, like this one, continue your design line staying at the peak height of the bone. Doing this will avoid disturbing any sensitive areas when inserting the appliance. Notice there is some recession on the cervical line of this tooth. You can rectify it by designing a normal neckline. Not only will this help the aesthetics, but it will also delay further recession from occurring. As previously mentioned, the angulation of the molars create a challenge for the path of insertion. The opposing angulations of these teeth require an extensive blockout to get through this V shape. We can avoid an extensive blockout by creating a high finger clasp design in this molar. Doing so will avoid this sensitive tissue area that can cause discomfort to the patient during mastication. We continue our design by creating another high finger clasp design on this molar, following the height of contour as we mark our design line throughout. Sometimes, adding a clasp on every tooth can be too much on the functionality of the appliance. For instance, in this particular case, we avoided adding a clasp to this tooth because its forward tilt will actually complicate the path of insertion. Assess the amount of retention required and decide accordingly. Let's review the final design. We avoided a clasp in this tooth, added a clasp here, and created high finger clasps in the molars that bypass extensive blockouts while eliminating any material that can cause discomfort to the patient. Additionally, we added a clasp in the cuspid and a clasp on the bilateral. Furthermore, we went to the height of contour on the sublingual here and did the same with this clasp. We did not overextend the clasp to show enough of the tooth, ensuring an aesthetic design. Finally, note that none of the borders are passing undercuts. Our design is finished and ready for blockout.